am here hanging out with Mary B. Morrison. She is known as the African-American Jackie Collins and then some, with 9 novels to her name and 1 on the way. She writes under the name Mary B. Morrison and HoneyB, and we're here to talk about her book, Sexcapades. We're going to talk about all of her projects that she's had in the making. We're going to talk about tips for you to live your dreams, and also about African Americans and sexuality. Mary, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
So, Sexcapades, this is
Yes.
your newest project.
It is.
Okay, so now you wrote this book under the name HoneyB.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit of background for the uninitiated about the Mary B. Morrison journey. HoneyB versus Mary Morrison and your newsletter and all of the things in the Mary universe.
Well, I actually have a lot going on. So Mary B. I've been writing under since 2000. And I just started, like a lot of people want to start out self-published, and I just did my own thing and got picked up by Kensington shortly after. And all of my novels are intended for adults and they are very sexually explicit. But with HoneyB, we decided to turn it up a couple of notches. So it is straight erotica, sex in every chapter. But it's all about the female empowerment and just moving in that direction. You know, women, we need to do our own thing. You know, forget these guys.
There you go. She said it. I didn't. You used to hear me say it, but now you hear someone else proudly said that the projects before were a little bit sexual in nature as well. How did you know that this was the path that you wanted to take?
I felt that way because I feel like we come here a certain way. And when I was a little girl, I discovered at probably 8 or 9 years old that I could actually move my vaginal muscles. I could like make them twitch.
Oh, wow.
And so it was a really nice discovery. But I think sometimes as African American women, we can't really go to our mom. And I was raised by my grandmother, which was another whole generation. And so I didn't know what to do with that information. You know, I just knew that I was on to something. So
what do you do with that information, right?
So I think that we should embrace that and not make it seem like sex is taboo. It's a great thing, and women need to understand their bodies more. So I was off to a start with hot pants and halter tops when I was a kid, you know, so I just really needed someone to help me cultivate and find myself within who I really was.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking a lot on the show about healthy expressions of sexuality.
Yeah.
And for me, it's really important because African American women and Latin women, we're the fastest growing group of people dying with HIV and AIDS. And I think it's because we don't have frank and open conversations around sexuality. Why do you think that that is? That we're still so closed in terms of, you know, sexuality. It's like people are saying one thing and doing another. If you look at the statistics.
Exactly. And I think that's true really about America. Like they send out all these sexual messages, commercials, etc. But then we have to act like sex is taboo and we're not really supposed to do it.
Yes.
So it's like contradictory. But the safe sex issue is something really to touch on because I believe that every woman should be prepared. Keep condoms in your purse at all times, even if you're practicing celibacy. Keep those condoms because the one thing you don't want to do is be caught off guard. I always have them in my purse. It's like you have to.
Okay, I gotta upgrade my purse. You're right. You are right, though, sis. You're absolutely right.
Always, because we have to protect ourselves.
We do.
Because you don't know what the next person is doing and who they're with.
You're right, you're right. So it's very important for us to be safe.
Yeah.
And the reason why we started, where we've been having these conversations on Planet Abiola, is that in addition to making films about mental illness and race and gender and empowerment, the last film that I directed was an erotica film, actually. Yeah. And I wanted to show safe sex and talk about safe sex and introduce this conversation. So tell me about your newsletter.
My newsletter is really informative.
Her newsletter, okay, she said informative, but it's a scandal. You need to get your hands on it immediately.
I know.
So go ahead. We'll go back to the publicist-approved answers from Mrs. over there. Talk to her another time, but go ahead.
Well, anybody who's listening can sign up for my newsletter at marymorrison.com.
Okay.
But I still like to inform people of different, you know,
Give
sexual...
examples.
Okay,
It's a wonderful
what's
newsletter.
coming up? Okay, catch the next newsletter that's coming up, the yoni massage. And so, you know, I think every guy needs to know how to do a yoni massage. And if you're a woman that's into women, you need to know how to do a yoni massage too, because It's very interesting. You know, we'll get to the guys later in terms of the legal massage. We're not worried about them right now.
Right. But we also
we gotta tell these
so that we can teach people. So
Yeah.
that we can teach people, we need to know these things ourselves.
Yes.
So okay, so for people who are Googling now like crazy, what is a yoni massage?
A yoni massage is, if I can say P word, it's a pussy massage.
Okay.
But it's
We'll
not
say
about.
punani. Give us the idea.
I'm not always sure. I use the P and the D word, so you gotta tell me what I say. Okay, so a yoni massage is a punani massage.
Okay.
And it's all about the woman and the female experience and getting in touch with her body and what feels good and what doesn't feel good. It's not about penetration. I mean, you can go there if you want, but don't start there. And don't even feel necessary, don't even feel the need to go there.
Okay.
You know, just enjoy the moment, see how you feel from head to toe. And the guys need to be selfless sometimes because they think it's all about them.
Right.
And it is not.
It is not.
About
And I've been
them.
saying that I'm going to start something called Abiola School for Wayward Boys. So you are absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And so, okay, so now I'm thinking that I'm going to have to rebrand you. You're Jackie Collins, but I would add into it Jackie Collins plus a younger, sexier, cuter Dr. Ruth.
Okay.
Yes, we like that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what is next for you? Well, first, actually, tell me the story of Sexcapades. Tell me the story of the book.
Okay, I love writing about characters that have money. So everybody in the book is wealthy, they have money. And in Sexcapades, what we have is Nick and Natalie are competing for the same job that's worth $1 million.
Okay, these are guys, Nick and
Natalie.
Okay,
Yes, male, female.
Male, female.
Nick is the guy, and then we have Natalie.
Okay.
And they're counterparts because I wanted the female to be equally as empowered as the male. So he does not have one up on her, even though he thinks he does because he's a man and he thinks that the board that they're all males select him, whatever. But the catch is that the guy that they're working for is bisexual.
Oh, okay.
Nick
so he
is
could basically
straight.
party any kind of way.
Exactly. So who gets this job depends on who's going to sex him best. But Nick is straight heterosexual, so he's not having any encounters with a guy. But, you know, some things happen in the book, and it's really some good twists and turns, and I don't want to give the story away.
Okay.
But that's the gist of Sexcapades. So, but Nick and Natalie are very comfortable with each other.
Okay.
She doesn't want a relationship, but he does. But he doesn't want to ask for it because he knows she doesn't want it. So that's female empowerment. You control when you're ready to get into it.
Okay, and I know you've been doing readings. You've been on tour. What's the response to Sexcapades so far?
I've had really good responses. I really have. The men are turning out more than the women. Ladies. We need to get you out.
Okay.
Because I think when it's sexual, guys are so there. You know, like one guy's comment was, I'm accustomed to watching DVDs, but reading this book felt like I was watching a DVD, and I learned a few things. And that's the whole intent, you know. You know, if you can give a really good oral session, the first chapter is all about that.
Talk to us about what's coming up next. I know that you are writing, you know, as writers, we're always writing.
Yes.
What's coming up in the future?
There's a lot that's actually going on in the future, but before I answer that, just really quick, the easiest schedule that I have is on blackplanet.com.
Okay.
And /honey_B.
Okay.
And my whole schedule is just, it's easy to follow where I'm going to be on Black Planet. But the other thing is that I have so much going on. It's like I'm working on single husbands right now.
Ooh,
Because
okay.
men who are married and acting like they are single,
Yes.
women need to know what they are signing up
They do.
for.
They
You know,
do.
don't get mad, get even.
And you know what, actually, publicists, listen to this. You should have a whole website when it comes out called singlehusbands.com, and it'll be like don'tdateemgirl.com, where people can post men that they have encountered and keep each other informed.
Uh-oh, I have dated your husband. No.
Exactly. My boyfriend's wife
Not
is
me.
mad. What am I gonna do?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Okay, so single husbands.
Yes, I
Okay.
actually love that concept. And then Who's Loving You comes out in August.
Okay.
And, you know, that's the Mary B side where I really want to get to the emotional side because
Yeah.
you really have to stop and think about who's loving you. You know, we're in these relationships, but are we being loved within the relationships?
Yes.
You know, so it's just a self-reflection. Again, of course, there's sex in the book because I'm always, you know, in
It's how we all got
relationships.
here.
Yes.
That's how we all got here.
Well, it creates so many issues, especially when people aren't comfortable with it.
Right.
It does, so I'm always going to talk about that.
Well, what I really like, you said the Mary B side, in going to your website, was that your son was on your website,
Yes.
which I thought was so great. Tell us about your son. I was like, that is really wonderful, because I felt like before I met you that I had a picture of you as a person, not just
Yes.
as, an entity. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, is your son an aspiring writer as well, or?
I'm trying to get him there,
Okay.
but he loves basketball and he really aspires to play in the NBA. So, I say go for it. When kids are in college, they should just go for whatever, especially if your parents are supporting you. It's like, just
Yes,
do what you
just
did
do
the
it.
one time in life. You
Yes.
can just throw caution to the wind and work really hard. But, Jesse, he's actually, the best thing that has happened to me. We've had this great relationship. I've been a single mom since he was like 1.5.
Oh, wow.
And he's been really good. So for me, it's like for parents who are like single moms, I always found balance. I was like, I'm not going to sacrifice my whole life for my kid. You can just forget that. But we rolled together. I sacrificed for him and he sacrificed for me. And even when I was writing and I decided to have this as a career, there were times when I was writing and everything else had to be pushed aside so I could finish the project.
How do you balance? There's a lot of people at home may be watching, and they may be mothers or fathers and say, I have dreams, but how do I balance that with my life?
If you are a single parent, like when Jesse was little, I would let him find his friends, and whoever he gravitated toward, I would get to know the parents.
Okay.
And so then I would say, Tim can come spend the night at our house, and before you know it, it's like Jesse can come spend the night at our house.
Okay,
And,
okay.
you know your kid is safe, but every weekend I had at least one day to myself.
Okay. That's a good.
And I started when Jesse was 4. So, I did not wait. Because moms need time for themselves.
Moms do need time.
You can't do it all. Don't try to do it all. And don't put your life on hold. I know a lot of parents do that. But then you look up and then you're like 40 or 50 and then you're trying to figure it out.
Everything is past
You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that.
So, before we go, give me 3 tips for our aspiring writers. Let's say
Ooh.
people who are home, they may have a manuscript in their bag or something they've been working on forever, and let's give them some pointers.
The one thing that I really, really like is publishersmarketplace.com.
Okay, publishersmarketplace.com.
Yes, that's where you can find agents, you can find publishers, you can find what types of submissions they accept. The worst thing you could do is copy your manuscript and send it to somebody who's not going to look at it anyway because they don't publish that type of or represent that type of work. So that's the first thing that I would actually suggest. And the second thing, for people who are thinking about writing, either you write or you don't. I mean, it really is a passion and a commitment. You can't say, I want to write this book because I want to make the same type of money that Abiola and Mary's making, and I want to. You have to do it because you love it.
Right.
You really
And you
do.
have to be consumed by it. Like
Yes.
it's a very all-consuming thing.
Yes.
Like when people ask me, they say, "Well, why did you decide to become a writer?" I said, "You don't decide to become a writer. You've always been a writer, and you may at one point get published, but you are always a writer. Like you don't just decide, oh, now I'm going to be a writer."
Exactly.
So,
And it's a
yeah.
gift.
Yeah,
It's
it is a
like
gift.
God gives us gifts, and I didn't major in journalism or English or whatever, but I never felt like I didn't have the credentials or the ability to write the book. It's
That's a
like
great third
forget the
tip.
naysayers. This,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, that's a great third tip. Forget the
Yes.
naysayers
Yes.
and believe in yourself.
You have to.
And work toward it. Okay, so let's beautiful cover. Look at that. HoneyB Sexcapades. I'm proud of you, sis.
Thank you.
Pick it up at aalbc.com or wherever books are sold. So cheers to goddesses and divas.
Cheers.
Dream bigger and love yourself.